Okay, hey everybody, we are going to construct, or not, yeah, I guess construct. We're going to put together Teresa's variables and her events for this conversation because there's a bunch of variables there. Now it's kind of repetitious. They're basically the same type of variable over and over, but it's a lot of stuff being thrown at us pretty early on here, and starting to see some of the complexity that can come about through variables. But by setting these variables up when we go through to actually create her dialogue system, it's going to make it much easier to use in other settings and situations. So what I'm just going to go ahead, and here we are. We've got Teresa. She's already got her detection system. She's already got her conversation system right down here named dialogue. So let's go ahead and add a component to this, and the component we're going to add to Teresa will be a playmaker and a playmaker FSM, and I'm going to call this FSM, for right now I'm going to call this starting dialogue, like so, and this is going to be initial dialogue, if I can spell, dialogue between Sancho and Teresa. Now notice I've created this state machine here within the inspector as opposed to within the playmaker editor. So this is another way that we can create state machines. Now if I do my edit here, it brings up my playmaker editor. If I go to my FSM, it's populated this with the name of my state machine as well as the comment that I put on it. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about states right now. I will go ahead and create some variables and some events. Let's start off with the events. We're going to have two events, on click underscore 1 and on click underscore 2. So on click underscore 1 is when the player clicks button 1, and on click 2 will be when they click button 2. Okay, so now we need some variables that we need to throw out here. So basically the variables that we need, we're going to need one that points to the dialogue, the actual canvas, so we can turn it on and off. So by default we're going to have this canvas right here is going to be turned off so you don't see it. And we're going to need one for the speaker so that we can change this text value here. We're going to need one for the dialogue so we can change the dialogue there. Option 1 so we know when the user clicks option 1, option 2 so we know when they click option 2, and then the variables that go into both of these text objects right here so we can just change what is displayed on top of those buttons. So those are the variables that we've got to create. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to go top down on this. So I'm going to start off with dialogue. So I will come over here to Teresa, create a variable. I'm going to call this dialogue. Now I'm going to name them the same things that we see out here. This might make it a little bit easier. Actually this is not a good idea because both of these are named dialogue. So let me come out here, change this dialogue right here from dialogue to dialogue canvas. That might be a little bit easier. Go back up to Teresa, and then this variable here is going to be dialogue canvas. I believe in the chapter I called this variable journal, which kind of causes some confusion with the journal that we've then got attached to Sancho. So I'm going to change the naming here and go with dialogue canvas instead. Okay, so this is going to be of type object. I'm going to add that, and the object type is going to be a Unity engine and a canvas. It's going to be an inspector, and then I can even put something in the tooltip here, and this is going to be Teresa's dialogue canvas object, in case I forget what it is. So to kind of see that in play, if we come over here and go to our scene here, and down here dialogue canvas, you can see the tooltip pops up and reminds me what that is in case I forget. Okay, so that's nice. Let's add another one. So this is going to be speaker. So I'm going to call this speaker, and I'll also be an object. So add that. So just like when we did the arrays in chapter 5, we would set it up as an array type, and then we had to define what type of variables were actually being stored in the array. Well, I'm setting this up as an object, but then I have to specify exactly what type of object am I going to be storing inside of here. Okay, so we've got our speaker variable right there, and we're going to set it to be an object type here, Unity Engine. Scroll down here to UI. Once we find it, it's going to be way down here. Sorry about the slight stutter there in the video. I had to pause and go take care of something when I came back. I wasn't really sure where I left off. UI text. There we go. Okay, so we've got our speaker put together. Then after our speaker, we're going to need a dialogue variable. So we'll go with another variable. And you know what? Speaker should be an inspector variable. So it shows up over there. Just like our dialogueCanvas is inspector and speaker is inspector. Okay. So the next variable will simply be our dialogue. This is whatever the character actually says. So dialogue will be of type Unity Engine. Come over here, go all the way back down to our UI and grab text once again. Unity UI, where you at? There it is, UI and text and inspector. Nice. Okay, so then after that we've got our option 1 followed by our option 2, and then we'll just need to do our text. So let's see, so for our next variable here, let's call this button 1. Button underscore 1. So we'll call that button 1, and it is going to be of type object, so we'll add that. The object type is going to be a Unity Engine UI button. So I'll get down here, Unity Engine UI and button. And let's make that an inspector, and let's kind of double check some stuff here, make this a little bit easier for us to understand when we're working with. So I'm going to add dialogue underscore text to that. dialogueCanvas, that's nice. And then I'm going to make this one speaker underscore name. There we go. Okay, so I've got button 1. Let's see, button 1, where are you? Is an inspector. Okay, let's go ahead and make button 2. Button underscore 2 is also of type object, and then it will also be Unity Engine. Go down to our UI, and then we will select button, and then we just have to do the text for button 1 and button 2, and then go ahead and assign everything inside our inspector. So this is going to be a button inspector. Good. Now we're going to do a button underscore 1 underscore text is also of type object, and then that will be Unity Engine. Scroll down here to find our UI followed by text. So UI followed by text and inspector. Okay, and then one more, button underscore 2 underscore text. Let's add that one. It's object Unity Engine. Scroll down here to UI, and we'll select text once again. UI and text, and also inspector. Okay, so we've got them all constructed over here. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and lock this just so it stays on this display here, and come over here and get everything assigned. So button 1 is going to be option 1. Button 1 text is going to be the text of option 1. Button 2 is going to be option 2. Button 2 text is going to be the text in option 2. Dialogue text is going to be dialogue. dialogueCanvas is going to be dialogueCanvas. And then we've got our speaker is going to be speaker. Let's see, speaker. I thought I'd change that name to speaker name. Guess maybe I didn't. Speaker name. There we go. Okay, so now we're all set up. We've got our variables constructed. We have our events constructed. So we're now ready to go on to the next step, which is going to be populating our state machine out here with everything that is going to modify and update our dialogue and respond to user input. Okay, so any questions, just drop them in the comments below. Okay, bye.